Vítejte příznivci EVE Online, vesmírných simulátorů, Garry's modu a samozřejmě i Half-Lifeu, protože v následujících 8 minutách je vše trošku zkombinované dohromady. Jistý modér se rozhodl, že vezme lodi z EVE Online a v Garry's modu je postaví vedle sebe, aby lidé měli srovnání, jak je to ve skutečnosti ohromné, co tam potkávají v tom vesmíru. To video jsme nenadabovali ani ho neotitulkovali, protože se poměrně samo vysvětluje tím, co vidíte, ani nemusíte poslouchat, co ten modér přímo říká. Zatímco první modílek je přibližně velikosti nějakého jumbojetu, no modílek, asi není to vhodné slovo, tak poslední se ztrácí v mlze nad horizontem. Je to skutečně neuvěřitelné, co všechno v EVE můžete potkat a třeba vás to zaujme natolik, že se na dlouhou cestu do neprobádaných sektorů vydáte.
So this should theoretically make it its full size. There we go. Now ladies and gentlemen, this is not a renderation. This is a full physics model. It can be moved around and modeled with. Or altered, I should say. I pasted a Kleiner NPC so we can get a better idea of how big these are. He's resting roughly directly on top of the ship. So there you can see, in comparison with the size of a human being, how big this is. Alright, now that we have seen this ship at its full size, which, it seems, is close to the size of a jumbo jet, I'm going to paste the rest of the ship models, so you can see what they look like. I pasted a Kestrel, a Punisher, and an Incursus, one of my personal favorites. I'm going to position these. Now, as you can see, these ships do appear to be much larger than they actually feel like as you're flying them in-game. I was impressed myself when I saw them at full size. Which this, in fact, is. No fooling around this time, guys. This is truly full size. Once again, I'm going to paste an NPC to show you how big they are, more accurately. Once again. Alright, I've removed all the models with the Z key, and I will now be pasting some cruisers. Here we have a carousel. Carousel, I don't know how to pronounce it. And I seem to have not have raised it high enough. As you can see, it is stuck in the ground. There's a jalopy back there, if you saw it off this other side of the screen, that is relatively close to the bottom of the ship. And now for an exequator, the Glente. Once again, stuck in the ground. I'm standing on top of one of the buildings that appear within Half-Life 2 and GM Construct. And still, the ship is pretty big. There's the jalopy again, if you can see it. Now moving on to battle cruisers. I have pasted a Minmatar Hurricane. This is another one of my favorite ships, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that has noticed this, but it looks a little bit like a Star Destroyer from this point of view. I placed that building there to give you a more accurate comparison as to how big this ship is. The building I'm assuming was rendered to full size, or else it wouldn't make much sense to have it. Apologies for the sound delay. Now, going to remove all the props that I don't need. One thing you'll find is that once props are resized, it's very hard to find the prop origin. So it's very hard to delete them. So I just undid that one. And there's a building placed. Now we're going to be moving on to the battleships, which I will finish up with now, since these ships are being scaled to full size instead of almost there. It will take up the whole map. If I try to get anything bigger, even though I'm in single player, it will cause a connection error. This is as it would look if it were flying over New York, next to the building there. A pretty immense ship in its full size. I'm surprised it even fit in the map, which it barely does. I placed it at the exact center of the map, right over spawn, as high up as I felt I needed to go. And still the front end is passing through the wall of the map. So yeah, it's a pretty big ship. And it's a few hundred feet, if not a few thousand, off the ground. And go off in the corner and show you its true size. Again, it is in the center of the map, and it's still filling up my screen. This map is huge.